Ray in the Facebook group said, Hi, Ray. I buy my shares and ETFs through NAB Trade. Am I correct in assuming that you cannot reinvest dividends for this fund, which the fund he's talking about is VGS, unless you buy through the Vanguard site? Looking for recommendations. Thank you. I'm joined by Jess Brady and Kat Halliday. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
It's great to be here.
Welcome back.
Thank you. This is my first episode since gallivanting around the world.
Mm-hmm. You look remarkably good. You don't look jet lagged at all.
Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. I tried to weasel out of this episode this afternoon due to the jet lag, but we're here now.
With your mug. Mm-hmm.
With my new royal mug. But do you want to speak to this, generally speaking, with, brokerages and ETFs and share reinvestment plans?
Yeah, so obviously it is important to call out that whilst Vanguard does have their own platform, you can buy Vanguard on, let's call it, all of the platforms. So I think this is important to just make sure people are aware that you don't have to use a Vanguard platform to be able to invest in something like VGS. And so you can go in, I would imagine NAB Trade's really similar to the other ones. You can elect to go through the share registry and reinvest those dividends so that anytime that there's a payout, that automatically purchases you more of VGS, if that's what you want it to go back into. You don't have to use the Vanguard platform. So you just need to get in there and be able to tick that reinvestment option.
Yeah, and I think it's an important teaching point for those. So the share registry, like companies, we'll just say CBA and all the ASX companies, they outsource the record keeping of shareholders to what we call share registries. Popular in Australia, Computershare and Link. And effectively, these companies manage the records of the shareholders, and you can change your address details in the registry. You don't choose your registry. There's been other questions in the Facebook group. Oh, I'm just buying shares. Do I choose Computershare or Link or whatever? And I was there a name change with one of them? Or anyway, either way, share registries do all the admin stuff. So like you said, Jess, log in. Yes, I want to reinvest my distributions or dividends from ETFs or direct shares. But if there's a company who say, well, we don't pay dividends at all, well, there's nothing to reinvest.
Yeah, so that's a good point because you'll need to figure out how to log into that. And have all of the info so that, you'll normally need your HIN, your holder identification number or HIN number so that you can actually get in, etc.
And I think it's important to note, and we won't cover it now, we've talked about this till the cows come home, like CHESS versus custodian platforms. If you are on a platform that has an omnibus HIN, so like your Sharesies, your Superhero, Beta Shares, you can't log into the registry. But if you're on NAB Trade here, you can, if it's CHESS sponsored, the brokerage that you use, NAB Trade, Southwealth, CommSec, because you've got your own HIN, you can log in to the registry yourself and manage that. So it's a really good question, and it's great that you're looking at this stuff. Jess and Kat, we'll introduce you in a moment, but if you've got a view on any of this, jump in.
I'm barely holding on.
Okay, well, hold on more. Jess, do you have a view on dividend reinvesting or not?
Yeah, so I think from an efficiency and automation perspective, it's amazing because it gets you out of your own way. It's not something where you accidentally have money potentially banking up in cash, or you accidentally spend it, or you forget to sweep it back in. Where I think it can be challenging is, and I'm sure you've seen this a lot, where people potentially work for a particular company and they get company issued shares, or they've gone overweight in a particular company or sector just because of those dividend reinvestment plans. But if you've got something like VGS where it's a diversified portfolio, I think that works really well. Where I think you do need to be more careful is if it's going back into one specific company, you'll find over time, hopefully if that company performs well and is giving lots of dividends, you're going to end up overweight in a particular company. I had this happen and I just divested about a third of my portfolio because I was way too overweight, just because I had just been reinvesting the dividends for, 15 years. And I looked at it and I was like, the share price is going really well. It's it's time for me to
Was that on a custodian platform or on a CHESS-sponsored traditional broker?
on a chess.
Yeah.
And it was such a pain in the ass. They had to, because I've never sold anything that I've got through there. I don't know if this is all of them, but they had to post me out a one-time password. Post it to me. I was like, surely that is the worst security. They were like, it's for security purposes. I was like, in my mailbox
I've
seems
never
to be.
heard of that.
Yeah, it was so old school. So like, I think that's also a point, and you think these things are highly liquid, and you might in your mind think, oh, well, if I needed the money, we normally say it's T+2, so trade, and then 2 days later the money's back in your bank account. But actually the mechanics of it when it needs to happen, mine wasn't urgent, but I was like, gosh, if you really needed that money, that would be a pain in the ass. I think it took like 2 weeks for the mail to come, and then, I think it took a couple of days for that trade to happen. But just a point to note on that, because those platforms, I don't know, they feel old school to me.
Yeah, and it's a good point you talked about the overweight nature of, portfolios. I'm a little bit overweight in terms of kilos, but back to shares, I don't do dividend reinvesting, or I do not reinvest my ETF distributions.
Why?
Because number one, why do I automatically want to purchase the same share or the same stock at the price that's given to me? And we don't time the market, but that's number one. Number two, unless, if you're on a CHESS-sponsored broker, you need to be very clear that every time there's a reinvestment, that's a buy.
Yeah.
That's a tax event. And a lot of people may not know that every time that shares or dividend or distributions are reinvested, you still have to pay income tax on that.
It's when you get the money. It's classed as
no,
income.
it's deemed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so if you got $1,000 distribution or dividend and it was reinvested, you have to you declare that $1,000 even though you didn't get the cash.
Yes.
For your tax return. So there's that as well.
Yeah, my point being, if it went into your bank account, it would also be classed as income.
Yeah, as soon as the dividend is paid, that's a tax event. You've received income. The fact that it's reinvested or just sitting in the cash account is after the fact.
Yeah, I think this is where people do get confused, because they're like, what the hell? I didn't even get the money.
That's right, yeah.
But I think that probably lands nicely with my point, which is if it's going back into a well-diversified product that you're happy with the goal and the risk that you're taking, I think it does make sense to have that reinvestment option. Obviously, Glenn, I would say you're an outlier because we talk about money stuff all day long. I think for the average person.
I would still recommend most people. So I use Superhero, all the holdings that I have on there, the distributions and dividends get paid to the cash account. And then when money builds up, I then go and buy what I want to buy at the time.
I think for some, especially as you're starting out, the dividend reinvestment, there is a question around fees and is it worth the fee,
It used
etc.
to be worth doing when the company's allowed the DRP, when you got a discount on the share price. That doesn't happen anymore. And it could be worth doing if you don't have to pay brokerage again, which you wouldn't.
Which it doesn't. Yeah, I just think for most people, they want simplicity and consistency. And I also think particularly if we're going through a volatile period, that reinvestment into the cash account does create more opportunity for people to do that fear-based thing where they're like, oh, but Trump said something dumb again today and the markets are worried. Should I do it right now? So I think for the majority of people, this is where picking a good quality product like a VGS or, whatever you're in, it creates simplification. Where it gets more challenging is when you've got lots of different single stocks or ETFs.
Yeah, and I really don't have a portfolio with single stocks, and I don't use a CHESS-sponsored broker. Having a DRP twice a year for 10 or so years, good luck keeping track of that unless you've got ShareSite or something, because it just becomes a nightmare really fast.
And that's where, we're going on to a different sort of point, but I think understanding the reporting functionality of your trading platform or investment platform, ideally before you start trading, is so important, because otherwise you are up for a hell of a lot of admin. And then it might be, okay, well, this one's slightly cheaper, but I don't actually get any of that reporting. And that's going to be a pain in the ass versus paying slightly more and getting, unrealized CGT reporting or whatever it might be. You might not understand the value of that until you go to use it, but paying slightly more may be far more advantageous if you get heaps better reporting.
Yeah, totally. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.